Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us for our virtual Sustainable Ag Speaker Series. We usually have this the second Wednesday of every month at Hungadunga, and when we all decided that, well, we didn't decide, the governor decided, and we all agreed that we need to shelter in place, we decided to continue this series in this format with a live Zoom option. So tonight you are on via Zoom web or Zoom meeting. So you have the ability to mute and unmute yourself. So when you have questions, you have the ability to unmute and ask those questions, which is awesome. So the topic tonight is becoming a bee city, next steps for Moscow. And as many of you probably heard Iris talking about, this came about as an outcome of the February Pollinator Summit. One of the things that people in our community were really excited about was becoming a bee city. And we're really lucky that we have Brad Stokes with us tonight. Brad is an extension educator with University of Idaho, and he's in Elmore County, and he's going to be able to talk to us about the process that he's been engaged in terms of Mountain Home becoming a bee city. And then we're going to have Iris talk a little bit about where we are with Moscow and facilitate a conversation about what are our next steps for us to become a bee city. I'm Colette D. Phelps, and myself and my colleague Mackenzie, we are both going to be helping to moderate tonight. So a couple of tips. If you're new to Zoom, we're all sharing a lot of bandwidth right now. So if you have any trouble with sound or things kind of going slow in advancing of the slides, you can always type into the chat, and Mackenzie and I will let you know if that is something that's going on the speaker side or is unique to you. At any time, you can use the call-in number that was provided in your welcome email with this link. If you do that, just mute your computer. Otherwise, you personally are going to get a lot of feedback. There is a chat box, which is in the control bar. It's generally located at the bottom of your screen, but depending on your configuration, it might be on the top or the side. You can type questions in at any time for Brad or for Iris, and we'll have times during the presentation to answer those questions. This is being recorded. So if you have at any time any follow-up questions, or you have somebody that you would like to have view this webinar, it's going to be available, and we'll show you at the end of tonight where to do that. So with that brief introduction, I want to invite Iris and Allison, who are the co-coordinators of the Sustainable Ag Speaker Series, to welcome you as well, and if you have any other opening remarks.
Nice. Allison, do you want to go first, or you want me to?
Hi, this is a bad place. Yeah, hi, I'm Allison. I work at University of Idaho in the Soil and Water Systems Department. I'm also on the board of Rural Roots. And thank you all for coming. That's it.
Nice. So I'm Iris Mays, and so I have a couple slides after Brad, and so I'll share then, but I'm the small farms and horticulture educator for Latah County, so that's my role.
Great. Thank you for that welcome. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to hand it over to you, Brad, so you can share your screen.
Okay, thank you all very much. As Colette and Iris said, I'm the U of I Extension Educator, County Chair, Cropping Systems down in Elmore County, which is Mountain Home. And I am classically trained as an entomologist. So I'll start sharing the presentation and we'll get going. And please feel free to stop me if you have any questions about anything. I do like questions. Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, so how all this got started for me. First of all, I just got hired in 2017, and then in the spring of 2018, we have a 5% research/scholarship appointment for our jobs. So me being an entomologist and knowing that bees were a hot topic, I figured I would trap and identify bees down here in Elmore County. It's never been done before, so I wanted to correlate the species diversity with the landscape type. And so I started ordering all these blue vein traps online. I don't know if you guys can see them, but they're great for trapping wild bees. And that's how that got started. And then for the Bee City part, I was driving to visit my folks in Boise, and I drove through Garden City, and I saw this weird little sign in the bottom right there. And then I started investigating Bee City, USA. When I started investigating it, it actually wasn't associated with the Xerces Society yet. It was an older lady on the East Coast, I believe, and her name was Phyllis. And I started shooting her emails through her website. But why become a Bee City USA? To raise awareness about bees and pollinators, to enhance pollinator habitats, and to celebrate achievements through events or programming. And I thought all of that really lined up with U of I extension goals in conjunction with my specialties. So that's why I've started this here in Mountain Home. Here is a really cool map of all the Bee City USA affiliates in the United States. The website there is at the bottom. But in Idaho, we have 3 so far. Garden City was the first, Mountain Home was the second, and then shortly after was Twin Falls. And those red dots on the map indicate a Bee City USA affiliate, and then the black is a Bee Campus affiliate. So there are other options, not just Bee City USA. And you can see they're just scattered around the US, mainly in the eastern though, but we're gaining traction over here. And it looks like that must be Spokane or some campus right there in Washington. Okay, what we know. Okay, bees are very essential to our ecosystem, environment, and economy. They say 1 out of every 3 bites of food is because of a bee or pollination. 90% of the world's flowering plants, the angiosperms, depend on pollinators to produce. I would also throw in there wildflower species that are native are important. They are facing a loss in habitat worldwide and nationally. It's a really hot topic. And then I like to throw in the pesticide exposure, mainly probably systemic insecticides, their use in the ecosystems, backyards, agriculture, etc. And there we go. Okay, so the first step in creating a Bee City USA affiliate is creating a partnership. I see Moscow as having 2 advantages. You can go with the municipality, which is the city of Moscow, or you could even look into becoming a Bee Campus USA affiliate, and that would be going through the university. That might be more easy. I don't know all the details surrounding Bee Campus, but you could probably also do both within Moscow, so you have some advantages there. Here is your mayor and city council here. So Bill Lambert, and then you have, looks like 6 city council members, Art, Sandra, Maureen, Ann, Gina, and Brandy. I do know Sandra pretty well as she grew up in Mountain Home. So if you're gonna target any of the council members or the mayor, I would imagine they would all be on board for this. Okay. Some other entities and experts or partners you might want to think about partnering with. You have U of I Extension, the Palouse Land Trust, the Palouse Clearwater Environmental Institute, the City of Moscow, Rural Roots, Backyard Harvest, And then on campus, you have the Plant and Soil Science Club, which would be a great one as well. So I think from my perspective, you have more opportunities up there than I did as far as partners. Okay, the second step is creating your pollinator committee. It's good to get this through the city and get a few local experts on this and get it recognized through the city or the university. And if you want some ideas on who might be really good to target, I can absolutely give you my advice, okay? Oh yeah, the Aldrich Entomology Club, that's a good idea as well. Someone put in the chat. The third step is to download the template resolution on the bcityusa.org website. The resolution is pretty easy. And then again, get support from the mayor or the city council. Let them know this is a passion of yours or the community's, and that will really, really help the process. And then here is the sample template that you can download. It's only 1.5 pages. And
Hey, Brad.
Yep.
You said we can ask questions. Do you want questions now or after?
Anytime. Now is good.
So on your partner slide, who did you partner with for your partners?
I only partnered with my office and the city of Mountain Home. So I only had 2 partners.
Thank you.
Yeah. So here's the template. And basically you download this and you just fill in the yellow areas. And it's quite easy. You can see this a resolution of here, you put in your city, designating your city of B City USA, and you just follow this, and it's really, really simple to do. Most of it is just filling in your city and then creating your committee name. Okay. The fourth step is, well, maybe, how about step 3.5 is advocating for this and getting it on the city council's agenda. And then the fourth step is getting this resolution passed. Okay, public support is key. I think bees being in the news a lot really helps. And you can also, what I did after the Bee City USA resolution, we passed a Mountain Home Idaho pollinator protection policy. And that was a great thing to pass as well. And then you basically follow the guidelines and give them some money. So it's pretty simple. Okay, so, and this is on their website as well, this 6-step process. I only wrote down 4, but okay, you establish your committee. You also need to create and enhance pollinator habitat, but it's over time. So you don't have to do it that year or before you pass the resolution. You get these pollinator conscience practices into policy. You host a pollinator awareness event. I'll show you what I've done down here. And then you publicly acknowledge Bee City USA with signs and an online presence, and then you pay your fees. So it's quite simple. The annual fee, this is where it's just based on your population. So last time I was in Moscow, you were at like 22,000 people. Is that correct, Iris?
Yeah, I think we're around there. We might be getting up to 24.
So it's only $200 a year. For me, I split that 50-50. Half comes from the U of I Extension Elmore County budget, and then half from the city of Mountain Home Parks and Rec. And then it just goes up as your population increases. So to me, it's a very minimal fee for what you get. Here are the street signs that we've put up in Mountain Home, and they're in prominent areas. This one on bottom left is exit 90 coming into Mountain Home. So right behind here is downtown Mountain Home with the city entrance right there. So there's our Bee City sign. And then on the right, this gentleman is the mayor of Mountain Home. And you'll see this lady quite a bit. She is the Parks and Rec superintendent, but we are a tree city, a bee city, and a monarch city down here in Mountain Home. I think the requirements for the signs are 2 signs, and we have those. If you can see my screen, I actually have one more in my office behind me, right in that area. Okay, so I got 3 printed out, and a local sign maker can make these for you. Creating a pollinator habitat. What I did is I had my master gardeners take that on, and they did it at the Mountain Home Community Garden. So this was early planting before they bloomed, and then here's where they all bloomed. And like everything I do, I try and put it on social media. So there is my Facebook post about the cole crops doing great, and then the pollinator bed. And what they did is just dedicating 1 bed to wildflower seeds. And it really improved their yields this year, by the way. What else have I done? For pollinator habitats, we've taken on this task of helping plant flowers for the Mountain Home downtown flower pots. So there's me, and then some city employees, my staff, and then some master gardeners. And this is just us planting plants and getting more nectar resources for the bees. Pollinator Awareness Day / week. In 2018, we actually had a free barbecue at the farmer's market. So the farmer's market is a great tool to use. It's already there, and that was Mountain Home's first Pollinator Appreciation Day. So we had free food, some honey, recipes, education, and fun. We highlighted bees, habitat, and it's the 3rd week in June. Last year, we set up this watering dish for bees and had the kids or adults make their own. We have honey there, and then bee displays, as well as we give away about 100 pounds of wildflower seed per year to the public. So that's something as well that we do. For some of this, I always try and tie everything into one neat little bow. We tied this into Arbor Day last year. So again, there's the mayor, the Parks and Rec. We gave away all these free trees we get from the U of I Pitkin Nursery. We had some pollinator seeds right there, some geodes for the kids to bust. I love my bee book. This thing is fantastic. If you've never seen this, the kids really enjoy this book because there are literally pictures on every single page, and it gets them interested. Using media outlets. Boy, that's one of my strong suits. I did not know I was good at advertising or marketing until I got into Extension. This top left one is from the Mountain Home News. They superimposed my face onto the body of a bee. And then I've been doing my wild bee research, talking for the Lions Club. And then we do contests all the time here too. So we did how many bees did it take to make this jar of honey, and it's a quart-sized jar. The winning guess was it takes 2,500 bees to make a quart of honey. So very important to protect them. Me and Brad Gammett created this website as well. This is the U of I Extension Pollinator Protection website, or Pollinator Awareness and Protection Project. This has since kind of ended, but the website is ongoing. We have resources on this website if you want to visit it. And in Extension, we always try and get the kids involved. So any kind of project I do, I try and get the youth involved. The Mountain Home Parks and Rec throw out this spring and fall programming guide. And on the back, we had this 2019 coloring contest for Bee City, where the kids took this home, colored it, brought them in, and then we judged it. The winners got a pint of honey from a local honey producer, so that was a great little project as well. I do bee presentations at the Mountain Home Air Force Base Youth Center. So here's all the bees, some honey, a display of their life cycle, one of my traps. There we were actually testing real honey, and you can see some YouTube videos. It's kind of interesting. I like to bring out this little scope right here so the kids can look really closely. We do STEAM nights as well, so science, technology, education, arts, mathematics, and me with insects and interacting with the public and the youth. So getting that awareness out there is part of becoming a Bee City USA affiliate and documenting this. We do a Glens Ferry literacy night as well. We created this little thing on the left. This is not accurate. This insect only has one pair of wings, not two, but the kids get to place the head, thorax, wings, all the parts on their spot, and then they typically get a piece of candy right here. And then here's our little scope that we use for extension purposes, showing the eyes of a bee. The kids always love when they get free candy, so I suggest that in extension. STEAM night in 2019, I did a bee awareness poster and what I'm gonna call youth-friendly activities, because I love the look on that little boy's face there. He is just going at that board. And we used certain sizes of drill bits so the kids could use these power drills to bore into the wood and create some nesting habitats for leaf cutting bees. Okay. Don't you just love his face? Look at that, that's great. There is a report required, Iris, okay? Documenting all the work is important. I love photos.
You're so funny.
The pollinator garden and habitat, how much area you're gaining per year, okay? On the right is my actual report from, I think, last year. Paying your renewal fee annually. And then for me, like I told you, splitting the cost. I think creating partnerships like that is a great thing to do. And then I kind of touched on this, but why stop there? So we did Monarch City USA now, and Mountain Home is now a member of Monarch City USA, which is great. This is me and Betsy holding the signs, me, the mayor, and Tiffany out right where the Bee City sign is. And I think we've been a tree city for like 26 years. Pretty incredible down here. And then since we've been talking about pets, I wanted to show you my two boys. This black and tricolor male is Pepper, and then his son is this Merle, and I named him Jack. So with that, you know, I feel free to take any questions. And I would also like to show you some of the stuff I have in the office if you'd like to see what I might have to show you. Okay.
That'd be great.
Can I show you some stuff? Oh.
Yeah, show us some stuff. I have a question about your bee traps. Do those kill the bees, or do you release them again after you count them, or what?
Okay. So unfortunately, they do die when they go in here. Okay. They're attracted to the UV light emitted from this blue vein portion, and they fly in and then drop down in there, and they can't fly out. I left them up for 72 hours, and I had 36 of these out there, and I caught thousands of bees, so that was unfortunate. But in a science aspect, it's pretty important. So what I will show you too is here are some of the bees I've documented here, which is, I think, incredible. We have the honeybees, some great bumblebees. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 species, 10 species of bumblebees, and some other desert dwelling bees, which are amazing. And then some of the sweat bees you might see around your backyard. Okay. What else? I do recommend Pollinator Protection book. This is a great book. The bee book for kids. And Iris, I did have all my resolutions printed off. So, those aren't great for sharing though, but this is the Bee City one. I have my Pollinator Protection one down there. And then this is the Monarch City resolution. So the real thing I would key in on is creating partnerships and getting support from your elected officials.
That's awesome. Thank you, Brad.
Yeah.
I have a
Anyone?
couple of questions, Brad, that have come through. So the first one is from Lynn, and she says, I saw a beehive that lets you collect honey without using the traditional honey collection techniques. Does making the bees restart the process after collection add unhealthy stress that would cause a negative impact on the hive colony?
So it depends on the beekeeper, to be honest with you, and when they harvest. The newer beehives that I think Lynn is talking about, the cells are almost set in their ways, and then when you move the lever, it splits, and then all the honey drains out, and then they go back. So that is a great question. Of course, harvesting any of the honey is going to have some stresses on that hive.
What I heard about those hives is that they work better in the warmer climates, like they were developed in Australia. And so where the honey is more liquid, it works better. Where we're in a cold climate, it's a little more difficult. But
yeah.
Wow. Okay, we have another question. Are urban honey beehives a part of Bee City, USA?
Are urban honeybee hives. So would that be the managers of those hives?
Well, I think that Tim might, yes. Tim said
Tim says yes. Okay,
Yes.
well, and I think my goal here is within city limits, we are designated to Bee City, USA, and we have this pollinator protection policy. So in theory and through resolutions, bees are protected within the city. I also forgot to mention, this also really popped up probably my second spring here. I did have a question from the mayor asking what do we do about the bees and how do we kill them? And it wasn't actually from the mayor, it was a citizen. So I had to do some education there, as we do a lot of the time in extension.
Okay.
Evelyn, I see your question, Evelyn, about Bee City concerned with honeybees. Yes, honeybees are non-native, they're European. In my efforts, I think we're trying to conserve all the native ones in addition to the European honeybee, because it's in my definitions part of agriculture and our local economies.
Great. We also have a comment, and this is from Evelyn. Oh, let's see. Just jumped away. Okay. As citizen scientists with the Pacific Northwest Bee Atlas, we catch bumblebees, cool them off so we can photograph them, and then release them. Since so many species are now endangered and or threatened, we are glad to get the information we need this way.
I would say that's great. When I was a younger, more amateur entomologist, I was very involved in collecting, taking the lives, pinning, identifying. all sorts of insects. And as I get older, I barely take out my sweep net, and I've been going more towards the photography route. So I think that's great, Evelyn.
Thanks. We have a question from Kathy. She says, I love seeing all the pollinators come out early in the year, February and March, in my yard out in the country and through the rest of the year. Where can I go to learn more about native pollinators in the Palouse and their needs? I've heard of Xerces Society. Anywhere else?
Books. Books are one of the best ways to learn. Boy, I have all sorts of books within my office. Bumblebees of the Pacific Northwest. You have to start reading and understanding all the different types of bees. From what I've done down here, I've documented a little over 70 species just in Mountain Home. So I bet you're seeing even more of a diversity up there. Some of the really early emerging wild bees are going to be like the osmia, probably up north, and those are the bright blue ones, kind of green, and they're very pretty. They're leaf cutting bees.
Okay. Thanks, Brad. We have another comment that supporting wild bees through habitat enhancement should also help honeybees and vice versa.
Yes, so that's another big thing that is really important here. Spreading out native wildflowers is a great way to do it, as well as not disturbing some of those wildflower plants. There's probably several avenues you can go about in enhancing pollinator habitat, as well as reducing pesticide use. And that's my personal and professional opinion on that.
We have another comment that is, Paul Rhodes has published a report from his surveys of bees of the Palouse prairies. So I'm wondering, Luke, if you know where that is available.
He published that in a couple of things, and he was documenting bees in the Palouse prairie remnants, and he was using, I believe, the blue vein as well as sweep netting them. You can look up all of his stuff. I'm actually working with him in collaboration on my bee survey project. He helped me identify all my various species down here. And I could ask him where he published that study.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions for Brad before we turn it over to Iris? Oh, okay, we have a question from Jody.
Oh, there we go.
What pollinator-friendly practices or policies does Mountain Home have, and does the city use pesticides and herbicides in city spaces?
Okay, so the policy that I had passed, the pollinator protection policy, it is a policy stating that the city itself will refrain from using neonicotinoids. So that's a class of insecticides. That is one of the things that I had passed through that because neonics have been shown to be harmful to pollinators as they're systemic and work through the xylem of the plant and into the potential nectar and pollen. So that's one of the practices. I wonder if anything else is in that actual resolution. It's kind of detailed, but we've adopted some other stuff where, that we just acknowledge that there's a decline in pollinators. We understand they're economically important, neonics. We also talk about not only pesticides, but fungicides and herbicides. So it just goes into this. And then we talk about using an IPM approach on the city side. So at the end of this, Iris, remind me, and I'll send you all these resolutions. They are published online, so they're public record, which is great.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Brad. Luke also put into the chat the link to the scientific paper, The Native Bee Fauna of the Palouse Prairie. So great, thank you, Luke. Other questions or comments before we go to Iris? Okay, thank you so much. There might be some other questions that come up, Brad, so let's
Hey, I'll be
move.
here.
Perfect. Okay, Iris, it's all yours. Oh dear. Iris had to reboot her computer. So I guess I have a question, and this is because I had a conflict and wasn't able to attend the Pollinator Summit on the Palouse. So for some of you that were at the Pollinator Summit, I understand that becoming a bee city was part of that conversation and a bit of priority. So anyone that was at that summit, do you want to talk a little bit about that background? Pat, we need to unmute you, and then
Okay.
okay, you're unmuted now, Pat.
Okay. I'm Pat Rathman, and I was our environmental group actually organized that Pollinator Summit. It was a 2-day event, and we used the funds from a co-op Diamond Time. We got almost $800 from the Diamond Time, and we used those funds to organize our Pollinator Summit. And the first day was held at the Kenworthy, and the dean of the ag school was our main speaker, and we had almost 300 people there. So we were really, really pleased. The second day, we held it at the out at the
Fairgrounds, I think.
yeah, yes, and we had about well, that was an all-day thing, and people came and went, so it was kind of hard to get an actual number, but we figured that we had at least 80 people there, and there were a lot of people that were really, really interested in the idea of having a bee city designation for the city of Moscow. And I've actually talked to Mayor Lambert about this, and he's really excited about it too. So I think this is something that we could really go forward with. And since I don't have any of my notes with me, I don't recall the name of the ag school, the head of the ag school that was our main speaker. And he was very, very interested in promoting the idea of a bee city here in Moscow. And I know Tim Hatton. I don't know, Brad, do you know Tim?
I
Okay,
do,
well,
and the speaker you're talking about is Dean Michael Perella.
Okay, yes, that's it. Okay. Tim Hatton is a very good friend of mine. And about 2 years ago, I think it was, we organized a 3-day event with speakers and films on pollinators. And Tim was not able to be involved with our current pollinator event because he is now working out of town, so he's not in town that often, but I'm sure that he would be interested in getting involved in a bee city idea also.
So
And yeah,
I'm curious, Pat, if this is something, so within our city structure, we have commissions, and we have the Environmental Sustainability Commission, and do you think that commission would be one to approach to put an initiative forward to City Council? I see Mark.
I think it would. This is not the kind of thing that they, you know, they're they're more interested in sustainable, practices. But certainly it wouldn't hurt to, I would be happy to attend one of their meetings with Colette and Iris, and get it on their agenda so we can talk about it.
You could also use that committee and actually just use the same committee and add it to your B City resolution, so they could just meet for a half an hour after their regular meetings, if that makes sense as well.
Okay,
Right.
David made a comment that he thinks that the Moscow Sustainable Environment Commission is interested in this topic.
I would think that if it was presented to them, that they could be interested in it. One of the things that they were working on several years ago anyway, was to create pesticide-free areas of some of our parks. And so this would certainly, connect with that idea of promoting pesticide-free areas that would encourage native pollinators.
Great.
I'm sure,
Yes.
I can't believe they wouldn't be interested. And I know all the members of that group. We could just get on their agenda.
And I think having the examples from Mountain Home will be great.
I think so too.
And knowing that we already have 3 cities that have moved through this. Brad, did you look at any of the other documents or contact any of the other B City organizers as you moved forward in Mountain Home?
I did not. I took it on just as the extension educators and a concerned citizen. And because bees were a hot topic when I took those on, it went through without a hitch. So it was really easy, in my opinion, honestly.
Okay. Now, one of the groups that also would be very interested in getting involved with this would be the High School Environmental Club. I know that they are very, very interested. In fact, they were even talking about how they could have some bee houses on campus. But there was well, that's another that's another discussion. But I know that those young people would be very, very interested. And several of their members have parents that are faculty members that would also be very interested. And I know, tell me again, the gentleman from the ag school?
Dean Perella.
Dean Perella, right, I'm gonna write that down. Okay, that was part of his talk. He spoke for probably at least an hour, and that was part of his talk, was promoting the concept of a bee city. And I'm sure that we could, call on him also. And possibly he might even be willing to come to our Sustainability Commission meeting, because we have one of the members of that meeting, of that commission group, is also a professor at U of I. So they probably, know each other and whatnot. So I really am excited about this. And I know we have a lot of folks that participated in our pollinator summit that would be very interested in getting involved in this also.
Great. I was also going to say, I saw Jody was asking what kind of practices we've done. I just wanted to share this with all of you as well, really quick. So this is the resolution concerning the pollinator protection policy. And notice we talk about bees, butterflies, flies, beetles, and other pollinating insects. And just documenting it from a municipality when we're talking about the loss of pollinators. We talk about honeybees in here. We're talking habitat loss, pesticide exposure, lack of forage. All this, I think, to me, was actually really easy to write down in this format. We talk about science here, and I think this is the forefront of being in southern Idaho as far as environmental policies. But we talk about pesticides here, and then using an IPM strategy from a municipality, which is great, in prioritizing non-chemical techniques that are least toxic to humans and the environment. And then it goes on to, we're not going to use neonics or systemics. When we purchase stuff, including plants and or seeds, we don't do that. And then we talk about our partnership with the Extension Office, which is me. And we also talk about, we had to put this in here, right, about noxious weeds. Weeds designated by the state of Idaho will be managed according to state law. So there are some things in there, but you can see I got it passed. It wasn't too complicated, I didn't think. So there's no real limit to any of this if you want to change your local government or city.
Thank you, Brad. We do have a comment from Cassandra, and she says that we have a pollinator in crisis section on the Sustainable Environment Commission website.
Oh, good.
So that's also some really great groundwork. Iris, we were just having a discussion about the Pollinator Summit and where these ideas came from, and then about potentially going to the Sustainable Environment Commission as the commission to work with to bring a resolution request to City Council. But I want to go ahead and hand it over to you now, because I know you had prepared some thoughts on this.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I had to switch laptops, so I had just 2 slides. And I wanted to introduce Mark, if he's willing. He hopped on, and he is a master gardener, and he was willing to, he's on one of the city commissions. And so when we were discussing it, we were thinking that the city commissions would be a great starting point and to build that committee. So Mark, do you mind introducing yourself, or do you want to wait for another day? Here, I'll unmute you.
A puppy at my feet.
I unmuted you.
Okay, I have a puppy at my feet, so excuse me if it gets noisy here. I'm on the Parks and Rec Commission, and I thought that they should be a part of it too. One of the things that has been done already is to reduce the use of pesticides in parks. So I had hoped to introduce this at our next meeting. I have not had the chance because of the COVID-19 thing. Okay, I do speak with Steve, who chairs the Environmental Commission, and I think he would be very interested too. Their actions were what spurred some of our actions to reduce pesticide use. So I think you have a lot of people that would like to get involved.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, I just downloaded my slides again, and the main reason that I wanted to do that was just so people could write down my email address if they don't have it already. And then Mark or myself or another volunteer may end up being the the key person. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen real quick. Okay, but first I'm going to mute Mark. He muted himself. Okay. Okay. Like I said, there's just 2 slides here. Looking for my play button. So Mackenzie made this beautiful slide, so I kept it. So I just had said a planning committee is being organized by Master Gardener volunteers, spearheaded by Mark. and all with support from our office. The Master Gardener program is housed with U of I Extension, and that's Latah County. And then, let's see. Okay, and so if you would like to be on this planning committee, please send me an email. I put my email here. It's imayes@uidaho.edu. And then I sent out an email about 5 o'clock to the people who were on the Pollinator Summit sign-in list. And not everyone who came to the Pollinator Summit gave us their email address. So if you want to be on this pollinator list, you don't necessarily have to be on that planning committee to volunteer, because we'll be coming up with some of the projects like what Brad showcased. Earlier in the season, before COVID-19 hit, Abby from our Master Gardener program, who's AmeriCorps with the city of Moscow, she started this effort called Little Free Gardens. And I think that would be a great place, kind of like the city flower baskets that Brad showcased, that could end up having pollinator habitat. I think some of them will have food, but as Brad mentioned, there's that connection between pollination and food, so that's really important. So anyway, my email address is up here twice. Just let me know why you're emailing me, and because I do get a lot of emails. And then in the next month, we'll send out to that whole list an announcement for upcoming volunteer opportunities, activities as we get going. And then the what else is that discussion that was already started, which is great. And so we can just continue that now. And then, like I said, I had wanted people to see Mark. If you ever want to visit more with Mark, he's regularly out at the Hamilton Community Garden, so it's a great place to connect. It's a nice place for social distancing, and you can still have that social connection.
Yeah, and Brad, how did you decide how many pollinator signs that you wanted to have for the Bee City, and were those cost shared with Parks and Rec, or is that another fundraising opportunity?
Well, that's a good question. Boy, we bought those signs in 2018. I believe I purchased all 3 because I have one in my office that I keep just to remind myself of the good work I do.
I think we should have one maybe like at every entrance to the city.
Yeah, so you would need 4, but I think minimally you have to have 1. That's it.
Yeah, and I think that there's several of our schools that have pollinator gardens already. I know that that's something that Palouse Prairie is working on. I want to say that Lena Whitmore and maybe McDonald. Iris, do you know that? So there could be, like you said, Pat, working with the environmental club at the high school, but also some of the schools that are already doing pollinator education.
Yeah, the Palouse Prairie School donated, I don't know how many, but many packets of seeds that were distributed at the Pollinator Summit. So hopefully people already started. It would be great if, we could kind of collect that and document it, but we really just, kind of wanted to do that giveaway. Rural Roots gave away seeds as well. And then I don't know about those schools. Lena Whitmore kind of did a redo on their outdoor classroom, so I don't know if it has pollinator habitat or not. I did want to also mention that Driggs is working on becoming a big bee city, so they're kind of in the queue as well. And Jen Werlin is our extension colleague in Driggs, and she just couldn't make it tonight because she had another event. I had made some notes while Brad was talking. Oh, I wondered, Brad, what flowers you decided to put in the city planters. They looked beautiful, and
Oh boy,
I wondered if they were good pollinator habitat flowers.
they were, but I believe the Economic Development Office for the city selected all of those.
Oh,
I was
okay.
more in charge of gathering volunteers and putting it all together.
Yeah.
But we do hand out wildflower seed, and I document the amount we hand out in my Bee City report. And we also do milkweed giveaways during Arbor Day, so we do stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Luke had mentioned something about the farmer's market, and right now the status on the farmer's market is we won't be doing extra tabling because it's a drive-up pickup market right now because of COVID-19. But when we get back to normal in the future, we can definitely do outreach at the farmer's market. That's been a great place to connect with people, and the Master Gardeners regularly have a booth like once a month at our farmer's market. So.
I'm going to have to leave the meeting in a minute or so, but I wanted to actually ask the group if the group thinks that another pollinator summit, because in fact, after the last one, everybody was so excited that we did talk about having another one in a year or so. And the reason I think it's important is because that pollinator summit attracted ordinary people. In other words, people not like scientifically oriented, and so there was a lot of interest generated amongst families and other groups. So do you think that possibly in a year or so, it would be a good idea to have another summit? Yes or no? There's a lot of planning involved and a lot of money raising. And that's one of the reasons I really need to know.
Yeah, I think it was a great event personally. And, you know, we did kind of connect with different interesting intersections. We had pesticide applicators as well as, you know, just a wide variety of interested people.
Right.
So, yeah, so thanks, Pat, for helping us with that. And it was Pat's idea to get kids involved. And so that was, that would be neat to expand that to more schools next year. We did try to advertise the kids portion to all the elementary schools. And I think we ended up having about 20 or so kids that came, but we could do a lot more.
Okay. All right.
Nice to see you, Pat.
Yeah.
Okay. As soon as I managed to come up with $800 or $900, I'll let you all know. Okay.
Nice.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So we do have some ideas. Maybe there's a committee that could look at that summit or event. Cassandra had an idea of a workshop where people might come out with some plants or a native bee house.
Yes,
and,
right.
And Brad said that we could include something in our resolution about how that pollinator summit was attended by X number of people, and that really demonstrated the support in our community. So
Okay.
that does seem like a really great idea to move forward with.
I'm sure that once we get organized, we'll start having, because before the pollinator summit, why we had meetings at Iris's office, you know, interested people every couple of weeks. So I'm sure we could continue those. Okay, see y'all later. Bye.
Great, thanks. Allison also noted that the Soil Stewards Farm could be involved. They've just planted native shrubs that flower and are expanding their perennial herbs and flower garden.
Yes.
That would be great.
Yeah, that makes me think we should get geography involved and kind of document sort of like what we have and then like where we're making improvements. Would be cool, because we do have a lot going on already, and then, you know, we can just build on that. So
yeah, and Brad, thank you so much for sharing your process and your resolutions. That's going to be really helpful to us moving forward to have some actual examples that have already gone through city approval.
Yes, they're really easy. I mean, literally a lot of them are just statements, and then you put now therefore for us it's Mountain Home, but it just says Moscow, Idaho resolves as follows, and then lay out what you're going to do, and that's the resolution. It's pretty simple process.
Yeah, and I agree. Our city council, I think this is really in line with the values of our council and our city. So it's very exciting. Thank you all so much, all of you that are volunteering, Mark for leading this charge, and Iris for being so powerful in putting that pollinator summit together and bringing our community together around this really important topic. We appreciate everyone joining tonight. We've reached our 7 o'clock mark. Again, this is going to be a recorded program, and I am just going to very quickly show you where you can find that.
That'd be great. And I put my email address in the chat, and
Great, yes. So this recording is going to be on the cultivatingsuccess.org website, and Iris and I are part of that Cultivating Success Idaho team. We have a couple other great webinars on there as well, and one is about assessing farm habitat for pollinators, and it's really based on small-scale agriculture, and it'd be a great primer to think about assessing your backyard or your neighborhood, looking at that landscape for pollinators as well. And we definitely post a lot of information on the U of I Extension Small Farms and Local Food page. So if you follow the page, that's a way to keep in connection as well. So next month, we will also have a speaker series on the second Wednesday, and we're going to be having a speaker that is about seed germplasm. And then on this whole theme of pollinators, Susan Flugel, who is a farmer in Whitman County, her and her mom have farmed at Gray Duck Garlic Farm. She has a grant from the USDA Sustainable Ag Research and Education Program, and she is looking at flower architecture and pollinator architecture and how those things go together. She said that she would be able to be one of our speakers in late summer, early fall, and she's going to have some amazing videos of the pollinating, the plants that she has planted to attract pollinators, and the native insects and the bees that are attracted based on their architecture to the plant flower architecture. So we'll definitely get information out to everyone about that in the fall. So again, thank you for joining us tonight, and we hope to see you next month.
thank you, Brad. Thank you, Colette and Mackenzie and everyone who joined.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.